night would get very curious and actually come right up to the car. Brave little fella. Of course, it's easy to be brave when you've got about 20 of your closest family members all around, and one yelp of pain will send absolute destruction in terms of snapping jaws descending on whoever decided to give that pain to you. Okay, well, I'm going to keep heading up. I'm so enjoying this part of the Mara. I haven't been here in so long. I'm going to keep heading up to the famous fig tree that the lions like to sleep in. And who knows, could we be lucky enough to find a lion lounging in a tree? While we do that, we're going to go across to Tayla, who's going to be exploring the Mara very soon with an animal that you definitely won't find lounging in a tree.
The sound of Brent's voice. Now, sadly, you're going to have to listen to me. But we're with a herd of elephants that we've been seeing over the last couple of days, and Byron told me off yesterday. In fact, I must tell you this, he gave me a scolding. He said, how do you know that it's the same herd of elephants that we keep seeing? Well, Byron, he gave me so much sass about it yesterday. We've seen this cow almost every single day now. She's got a hole in her right ear, and she has 2 offspring, one a few years old and the other one's probably a few years older than that one, obviously. So there we are, I'm sassing Byron back. But it's a very big herd of elephants, and they seem to do the same thing every day, or at least every day and a half. They go and drink at Chitwa Dam, and it's the ones that we saw yesterday afternoon after drive, when we popped down to Chitwa Lodge. And then they come back this way via Torchwood, and they feed, and then pop onto Djuma. They cross over Cheetah Cut Line. And they've been munching on all these bush willows in the area. See, she's going right down now. What have you got? A root. Did you get a root? She did indeed. Oh, very cool. So on all of these bush willows, we're going to see a lot of damage in this area. You can already start to see the bite marks, and of course we're going to see lots of pieces of root and bark that are stripped, like the one that she's feeding on at the moment. Those will be all the remains. But if I actually want to show you, Senzo, if we go to a little bit to the left where that little elephant is, your other left, you'll see that on that bush willow just next to it, there's a lot of that orange bark that's standing out, or that cambium layer. Can we go a little bit more to the left, just up and to above it? I just want to show you. See there? See? Look at all that bark that's being stripped. Now, most of that is actually done by the younger elephants because they're not able to break the branches. Typically, the adults will snap those branches. You can see they're feeding on the same thing in the background. And because the little ones aren't necessarily strong enough, they're just physically biting it like this little one is doing now. And you can see where all its sort of chomp marks are, which is really quite funny to watch. Now, Rayleigh, you're wondering if elephants sleep standing up or laying down? Well, that depends. I don't know, I'm watching a big elephant cow behind us. Hello, girl. It's okay. She's ignoring. Oh, she might throw a stick at us. It's okay, big girl. So, essentially, younger elephants will lay down. Sometimes their little legs get quite tired, as you can imagine, trying to keep up with the herd, the breeding herds. So it's not uncommon for them to lay down. But as they get older, it becomes a lot more testing for an elephant to go down from the laying position up to its feet again. They're quite vulnerable. Also, because their organs are so large, it puts a lot of pressure on that sort of their insides and all that, so they don't stay down for long. But I have seen fully grown elephant cows fast asleep, even snoring, and I've definitely heard elephant bulls outside my room in Zambia snoring about. So that's quite cool, but sometimes they'll lean up against... there's a guy that obviously wants to go past. Let me just reposition very quickly so that they can move off and we can carry on with our conversation. I have, however, seen elephant bulls resting up against termite mounds, actually, using that to try and... well, I suppose help them get up again. That's quite cool. And then the most amazing thing I've ever seen was from a big elephant bull down in the Eastern Cape. He used to stick his tusks into the side of the banks of a river, because there were 2 big river systems that ran through the property. and he would rest his ivory like that, and then just sort of his head would drop down to the floor just about, but his tusks were holding his head up in the end. And I think that must be a nice way to relieve yourself, especially when you have got such a heavy head and big shoulders. It must be quite tiring. But they don't need much rest. A couple of hours a day, if even that. Some elephants go for 48-hour period, even longer than that, without having very much rest at all. But throughout the day, they will stop here and there, stand motionless, maybe 10 minutes, have a quick cat nap, and that's good enough for rest for an elephant, really. But that little one on the left is so precious. It's sort of the only one that's out in the open at the moment. Everybody else is moving off. There's a very sweet little boy, this one. And it's nice that we've been watching him. We're starting to see his personality. He's a little bit shy, in fact. And there's older sibling coming over now. That's the other one we keep seeing too. And that's what I love, is I love spending time with the same individuals over and over, because you start to learn a little bit more about them. It's not often that we get to sit and watch the same group of elephants all the time. They move fairly quickly. Look at that big cow. She's not happy though. She's an enormous cow, just about as big as they can get, the size of a small elephant bull. She's huge. She's not happy though. She keeps flaring her ears and she moves her tail away from her body like she's sort of doing, oh there, she's relaxed again. She stiffens her tail, not making too much noise, so not even flapping her ears and head at us or stomping the ground, or I don't know if she's maybe that elephant that was a little bit unwell yesterday. We actually saw she had a bit of diarrhea, and I said to you that sometimes it's that displacement aggression. When they're not feeling well, then they put it on us and just sort of say, keep out the way. But the wind is starting to pick up now, all of a sudden, so it is going to be gusting this afternoon. Perhaps it'll be calm and quiet at sunset, and as the wind has picked up, the elephants have also started moving, which is not uncommon to see at all. They're moving now into the thicket. They'll probably end up in the Mulwati a little bit later, seeking shelter. But for now, all these bush willows and the marula trees and knob thorns that are growing in the area should provide enough shelter. Let's go see. There's one trumpeting. Now, Vegas Beauty Snob, I love that handle, that's so cool. You said, how long do elephants stay in one area before moving off? That depends on the amount of vegetation. These elephants have been here for a good 3 days now, walking the same route, and as soon as they've exhausted all their resources, whether it be water or food, they will move on. But they haven't really put a dent on the vegetation just yet. Let's see, I'm trying to see who is trumpeting and who is making all that noise now. So hard to really get a view, I'm afraid. Like they're moving in and out of the thicket now. We might catch them in a little bit if they go towards, where are we, about central. I think they're going to go to their favourite spot again. So they're walking the same route all the time. But now with this wind, there's also a bit of a chill in the air. Well, not that I think the elephants would mind that so much, but us on the car, definitely feeling it all of a sudden. But I think that's going to be the last of our elephants, I'm afraid. They've all crossed the boundary now. They've crossed into our side. It's just a matter of trying to find them. Let's go around. Maybe we'll get them on Drakensberg Road. We can take a gamble. They're still quite far, but that's what they did yesterday morning. We ended up, after we watched them move through, they're not moving as quickly as what they were yesterday, though. So it might take them a bit of time through the thicket, but we could get them coming out again on Drakensberg. Now, Douglas, a very interesting question from you this morning, so thank you for it. We've obviously been talking quite a bit about elephants stripping the bark off tree, and that's exactly what your question was about. But it was about how is the tree affected afterwards. It depends on how much bark they actually take. So elephants are the big culprits when it comes to ring barking trees, and that of course will kill a tree. There's no coming back after you've been ring barked. Although, hang on, I'll share a story with you in a minute about that. It might be an exception. Anyways, so when they're stripping the cambium layer like that, they're snapping off the branches, so not actually the trunk of the tree, the base of it, which is fine. That's okay. That tree is going to grow a new branch for every branch that is snapped. But it's when they get the trunk, and if they snap it, obviously it's not going to grow. And also, if they strip the bark all the way around, which we see it's quite common with the knobthorn trees and then also the marulas, and if we find some that have got some serious damage, I'll be able to show you. On quarantine, those trees have all got elephant damage. A lot of them won't come back from it. Otherwise, it's okay. Sometimes the elephants, it's really cool the way they'll push over a tree, but some of the roots still stay in the ground. The trunk of the tree didn't snap. And then that tree sort of propagates, and instead of it growing at the top like it was, it's now on the ground. It starts sort of spreading shoots on the trunk of the tree, and they just start growing like that, which is really quite nice. Then again, that tree is still living, and then it's also providing a little bit of shelter for some of the ground-dwelling creatures, for birds, trying to escape raptors or geckos and scorpions. They can all live in and around there too. So they're not as destructive as what we think. I think it's very important the sort of relationship elephants have with these plant species, and also I think it's important that they do push over trees every now and then. Like I said, in winter, in the drought, you didn't hear the impala, you didn't hear the kudu or the bushbuck and the nyala complaining, because they were actually feeding off of the trees as soon as the elephants would push one over, because there was very little vegetation during the peak of the drought, and they'd rush on over and feed on that tree for as long as it was alive, and they normally wouldn't be able to reach the top of a marula. So that's quite nice. So we'll have a look around here, and we might have to be a bit of we'll play the patience game and hope that the elephants come through back onto Drakensberg, but we're going to send you back across to Byron to see where he is and what his plans are.
Oh, well, I'm jealous, Tayla. You got to see those. Seb spotted a giraffe through there. Just through the thicket. I don't know if we'll get a glimpse of him. Hold on. From up here, Seb. Let's try. It's right behind the trees there. I don't know if, there we go. You can just see that long neck moving. There it is. Male giraffe, big male giraffe. Unfortunately, the giant eagle owl flew away. Actually, what happened was, while Sebastian and I were sitting there just after you left us, we heard kudu alarm calling, and now those are possibly we think the same kudu that we saw earlier. We raced back into that area. They did cross south over our boundary. Now, I don't know what they saw, but they definitely saw something in that area. We waited around, but no luck. And then we came back to have a look at our giant eagle owl again, but another vehicle drove past, and I think got a bit too close, and it flew off. So I think that owl moved further into the drainage line, into one of the other big trees. That giraffe has also disappeared now. Apparently, though, there was one of the other guides saw a young male leopard at Treehouse Dam last night, around 6:30, somewhere around there. So that's quite interesting. I'm going to head back into that area and just see, maybe we have some luck and find some fresh tracks, or this young leopard is still in that area. Not sure who it was, but apparently a young male just saw. Oh wow, just have a look at this quickly. This beautiful male kudu standing off to the side. I hope he stays there for us. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at those beautiful spiral horns. And there's lovely light on him right now. Now he seems to be looking quite intently in one direction. Look at those horns glistening in the sun. I wonder if he saw something or heard something. Kudu are very alert antelope. Or is he just being careful? It's always lovely to see these big male kudu walking through. It sounded like it was them that was alarm calling. It came from that direction. And we know that they crossed the boundary and they went south. So I wonder if they didn't see that male and female lion. We had tracks of a male and female on the southern boundary that headed down into Little Gowrie. So I wonder if they didn't see them perhaps. Now, that is a lovely view of that kudu, that male kudu. I'm going to head towards Treehouse Dam now. Let's go across all the way to the Mara to Brent, who's got a beautiful fig tree he would like to show you.
Well, we've made our way towards this massive fig tree up on the Rhino Ridge that the lions are quite famous for sleeping in. So unfortunately, no lions sleeping in the tree today. So I'd give you a lion Smith. Since my surname is Leo Smith, I'm sort of half lion. The last time I climbed this tree, actually, I found a lot of lion hair stuck into the little bits of bark here. But today, with all the wind and rain, the only lion I can find is quite yucky because it's in a little puddle. But I'll bring it anyway. I might check the other side. Maybe just see if there's any nice hair. No, there's only hair. There's a little depression here that the water's formed in, and the only hair that hasn't blown away is in there. But so it's the ridge come up here, and you can see this tree to lion. I've seen photos of at least 3 or 4 lions. Oh, sorry, I've got to keep my on this side. Well, it's going down's going to be fun. I'm going to go down backwards. 3 or 4 lions lying up in this tree. So I'm going to try safely bring down that little bit of hair, but you might use my audio for a second. Oh, a bit stiff after a whole night in the car. You can actually, I don't know if you're going to be able to zoom here. Can you get in here? You can actually see the claw marks from the lions climbing right the way up through where there's a bit of dead wood here. So we'll have a quick look if there was a bit of better hair in a drier spot. Oh, there is. Now, of course, the reason for wearing these shoes is when you have to climb these smooth-barked trees. I learned the hard way, for those of you who know. I fell out of a balanites at Djuma because my boots held no grip. So barefoot is best when it comes to climbing smooth trees. How's that there, Dave? So there we go. Some lion hair from way up in a fig tree. Isn't that cool? Well, that's my hair there. Hang on, there we go. So with the rain and stuff, not as much as last time, but I'm pretty sure the pride is around here somewhere, since the Wildebeest are. Oh, quickly across to Byron, who's getting that bird lister ticking.
Ah, wonderful. Now, look what we found, a beautiful kingfisher. A brown-hooded kingfisher. Now, this bird challenge is getting exciting now, because to get these birds on camera is not always easy. Lovely to see a brown-hooded kingfisher. So that's another one for the list, I suppose. Now, I hope we got those reds. We did kind of see those Retz's helmet strikes flying around that owl. So that, yeah, so they're definitely on the list. And then did we get a crested barbet or grey go-away bird that was there? No, I don't think so. But black-collared barbet we got, and then we got this one, brown-hooded kingfisher. Alice, I hope you're keeping tabs on our list. Oh, this is lovely. This kingfisher is sitting beautifully for us. Often they fly off quite quickly. Bit of a chill in the air, a cold breeze compared to yesterday's hot wind that we had. Sebastian and I were speaking about it, and we think it was a berg wind. And berg winds are those winds that come down the mountain, down the escarpment, and often those are hot winds that we get blowing through these areas, and they come from the Drakensberg. And there goes the kingfisher. Chitty chatty Meg. Hi Meg, how are you? You asked if the birds, do birds have eyelashes? No. I'm trying to think now. No, I don't think. Do they? Oh, we're going to have to check now. Meg, let's have a look. And eyelashes. Alice says, didn't the eagle owl have eyelashes? It's got those prominent eyelids. I don't think it's got eyelashes. And apparently Kirsten agrees with no, I wonder. And the ground hornbills have long eyelashes. So, I'm trying to look on this giant eagle owl. I can't see very clearly on this picture. Ground hornbill. Let's check the ground hornbill quickly. They've got long eyelashes, do they? Oh, you can hardly see them though. Ostriches, the ostriches do have long eyelashes. I've seen that, yes. So I suppose, chitty chatty Meg, birds do have eyelashes. The ostriches do have eyelashes. I know that. But the main reason for that is they're often found in dry areas, and those eyelashes help protect their eyes from sand blowing into their eyes constantly. So I know the ostriches have eyelashes. Let's see if I can find a picture of one here quickly and see its beautiful long eyelashes. There's nothing close enough to actually see. Unfortunately, on these pictures that I have on the app, you can't see, but I know they do have eyelashes. That's yes, that makes sense. So ground hornbills, I need to have a closer look. Now with a giant eagle owl, yes, we saw those very pink eyelids clearly, but I do think there were slight eyelashes just on the bottom of the eyelid. Sorry, I'm just listening to an update. Sounds like someone saw some leopard tracks. But so yeah, birds do have eyelashes. Apparently, Kirsten was saying her cockatiel, the pet bird she had eyelashes. Alright, now I think we're going through a bit of a dodgy little signal area here. Let's head across to Tayla. I'm going to continue our search towards Treehouse Dam for any sign of a leopard, but let's go to Tayla and see what she's up to and where she's going.
You find those leopards, Byron, and fight off those gremlins at the same time. Now, we've had to leave our elephants just because I waited so patiently. I've literally just moved away from there, and I can hear them feeding in the distance, but they haven't really made much progress. So we could sit there for the entire afternoon. No, it's not afternoon, the entire morning, and not see them. But as we were driving around, I did spot another elephant. Oh, I couldn't have spotted an elephant because elephants don't have spots. I saw one in the distance. I think it was a big bull. So we'll see if we can try and find him. Hopefully he'll be on a road or near a road. But we're just on Pan at the moment. And so we will... I haven't decided if we're going to go to Buffelshoek Dam yet. I want to see if there's any intriguing tracks around here first. And that will then decide. But I would like to go down and check Nyala Road North, check Nyala Road South. Those are normally nice ones to check, especially for a leopard. I like to spend a lot of time around there as well when they do come and visit us. There's the elephants. You see, it's so far away. See them moving there. And are you wondering if I think that the older elephant bulls mentor the younger ones? Oh, most certainly. That's definitely the case. So once they get pushed out of the breeding herds, the younger bulls, typically what they will do is they either try and find another elephant that's in a similar position, that's also been recently forced out, or they start following the really big dominant bulls around, and they learn from them, and they also get put into line. So what's quite common, I'm just trying to turn here, maybe we can see them moving through the thicket, is what's quite common to see is you'll see a big elephant bull sort of just trying to feed peacefully, and you'll see a couple of youngsters pushing each other around, and then occasionally he comes in and he sort of whips them all into shape. And that's very important for learning curves. That's when they learn, those young bulls, hang on, I actually don't have any right to be mating with the females. So I can't really see the elephants now. That's a different, I think this is it might be part of the same big group. They're just a little bit further ahead. But they were coming down this way. Again, they're just going to feed in towards the drainage system. The wind is picking up even more. Oh, I suppose every minute it's getting faster and faster. So we'll just see if we can catch them coming. It's if we get a view of them even. See, it's a hard one. Because they keep changing direction. Oh, maybe there's some more. Okay, no, I can't even see them anymore. I think they've gone even further south now, which is not great for us, of course. We want them to come west, come this way and out into the open. So maybe it wasn't a bull that I saw. Perhaps it was the head of a big female. It could have been a bull. But it wasn't just one. It was definitely a whole group of them. Not the same ones we've been waiting for, though. So that's nice, though. At least the elephants are around. We'll know where to sort of look for this afternoon. My favorite thing to obviously see, one of my favorite things, or most interesting things, is watching those elephants dig for water. So hopefully they do something like that again for this afternoon, but they choose a good spot where there's no gremlins and we can view them peacefully without having too much tech trouble. Just scanning very carefully though along the drainage line. Again, because it's been a little bit chillier in the mornings, the cats are a little bit more active further into the morning, so this wouldn't be a bad idea just to check. Could quite easily see a leopard, trying to find a good shady spot to rest for the day. There are lots and lots of places with good resting spots for cats along this area. But nothing just yet. I haven't seen any tracks that have really caught my attention, barring some hyena tracks. There are lots of hyena tracks around here. Now, a question that I get asked often, and it's one from Jake. It's, have I ever touched an elephant and what do they feel like? I've never touched an elephant before. I'd love to give an elephant a cuddle, but I prefer viewing them out in the wild like this. So I wouldn't know what an elephant feels like, but they are covered with bristles on their body, so I don't think it would necessarily be very smooth, especially if you were to run your hands over their body. I think it could be a little bit prickly, because I have felt elephant tail hair before. It almost feels like plastic. Now, on their bodies, it's not quite as long and beautiful like their tail hair is. It's sort of short, sharp bristles, so I think that would be not too pleasant. But I'm sure I'm obviously just describing what I think elephants would feel like. I have no clue. I think their skin would be sort of like a soft, leathery feeling. There'd be lots of dust though on it. I don't know. Like I said, I'd love to be able to have a close personal encounter with an elephant if it was the sort of right way. I'm personally not into, being able to feed animals, especially animals that should be wild. As I said, I like to view them out here in their natural environment where they're happy, they can choose what trees they want to eat, they can move around. But I'm lucky. I live in Africa where these animals are in abundance, and well, I get the coolest job in the whole world as well. So I'm allowed to do these things. Let's see, maybe we'll get some good birds around here. See if there's any unusual ones. A couple of fork-tailed drongos flying about though. Let's go down. We'll start going down in Nyala Road now, Nyala Road North. We won't go up towards Buffelshoek Dam, I don't think, just because everyone else seems to be coming down this way. But before the gremlins attack us, go back across to Brent in the Mara and see what he's got.
Well, there we go. We're working around the edge of the ridge and the edge of the massive herds of wildebeest, seeing if we can find any predators, cheetah, lion, leopard even. And I just wanted to show you guys an area that not even our vehicles would get through. And there's certain spots in certain parts of the triangle where I've started going into an area like this, and you can't even see the rocks because the grass is so high. But now that the wildebeest have been through here, they've kindly showed me where I shall not be going. And you can see there's a couple of wildebeest spread through those boulders. Now, in these areas where there's not a lot of shade, it's always good to look under any bit of shade. Look at that. As I said, a bit of shade, Dave. Okay, now Dave, from those Thompson's gazelles, go to the left. You see there's a balanites by itself. Now, between the balanites and the fig tree, the termite mound furthest to the right. In the shade of that termite mound. Do you see it? Is that the wrong termite mound? Let me just check again with my binoculars. I apologize, Dave. I think it's the middle termite mound. A little bit to the left. Or was it that? Yes, it is that termite mound. There's a hyena to the right of the termite mound in the shade. I said any little bit of shade out here is utilized. There's a very flat, happy hyena. More than likely from the den we were at earlier. That's not too far away from here. We're just going to keep checking around here. Little one Naya would like to know, what is the craziest thing that I've seen in the Mara? Wow. I mean, those 5 cheetah boys on the hunt is pretty awesome. Craziest thing? A white-bellied hedgehog. It's probably the craziest thing. Dave, actually, I forgot to mention, because I know Byron was speaking about Art Wolf earlier today. And Dave and I actually saw one last week, Thursday. Yeah. We're following a big male lion, and suddenly I was like, Dave, what's that? And this little Art Wolf took one look at the lion and was out of there. Oh, I do. This area is so pretty, and it's such a beautiful morning. Let's have a look. What vulture species do we have on top of that tree? Rupals and rupals and rupals. Oh, it is beautiful here. Habari asbuhi. Now, for those of you wondering what is habari asbuhi, habari, asbuhi, how is your morning? How are you going? Good morning. How's your morning? Fuzzman Sparkles is wondering if we have seen an eclipse in the Mara. Unfortunately, the eclipse you guys experienced in the States was not visible, because Dave and I were actually out. Eclipse Springer. I thought you said an eclipse. Sorry, I've been looking at pictures of the eclipse recently. I will get to the Eclipse Springer now, Fuzzman Sparkles. That is one of the animals we haven't seen, but the eclipse was not visible from where we were, and we were out all night, so we would have known if it was there. And we had beautiful starry skies that night. Habari asbuhi. And Eclipse Springer is the one. So I was chatting to Jamie at just after 5 this morning as she got going. And we're trying to figure out what animals in the Mara we haven't seen yet. So, actually, where is that now? I did have a list of it somewhere. So let me just see if I can remember now. We'll start with the easy one. Western white-bearded gnu, tick. I would suggest you guys maybe write some of these down. Maybe some of these aren't species you know about that are in the Mara. Birchall zebra, tick. Thompson's gazelle, tick. Grant's gazelle, tick. Kirk's dik-dik, tick. Also, let me know how many there are, because I'm not sure. What were we on there, Dave? Kirk's dik-dik. Steenbok, tick. Oroby, tick. Topi, tick. Kirk's hartebeest, tick. Thinking of antelope, bushbuck, tick. Grey duiker, tick. I think we pretty much, I'm just trying to remember, eland, tick. And have we got all the antelopes, Dave? Reedbuck. Mountain reedbuck, tick. Boha reedbuck, tick. So 2 species of reedbuck. I think we've got antelopes pretty much down. Unless I'm being a complete impala, tick. Okay, warthog, tick. Hippopotamus, tick. Now we're doing mammals only. Let's go. Elephant, tick. Black rhino, tick. Think of any other big giraffe, tick. Any other big things you can think of, Dave? I think we've got them. Okay. Let us move on to large carnivores. Lion, tick. Leopard, tick. Cheetah, tick. Hyena, tick. Small carnivores. Blackback jackal, tick. Side-striped jackal, tick. Kirsten, I was not there yet. Kirsten is bat-eared fox. There we go, Kirsten. Tick. Zorilla, tick. Small carnivores. Serval, tick. Caracal, tick. African wildcat, tick. Large spotted genet, tick. Trying to think. Carnivores. Water mongoose, tick. White-tailed mongoose, tick. Okay, moving on. Porcupine, tick. White-bellied hedgehog, tick. Oh, small carnivores. Aardwolf, tick. What are we on? So we're on hedgehogs. After hedgehogs and porcupines. Oh, yes. Greater bush baby, tick. And tree hyrax, tick. Rock hyrax, tick. Dwarf mongoose, tick. Banded mongoose, tick. There we got them pretty much all covered. I think that's everything we've seen. I might have forgotten one or two. I'm going to have to write this down. But what we have not seen yet, which I'm very excited to see, Egyptian mongoose, no tick. Well, the water mongoose we actually only saw this morning at about 5:30. So striped hyena we haven't seen. Egyptian mongoose, honey badger. There was some other klipspringer. I'll think about it. If I remember anything else we haven't seen from the mammal department, I'll let you know. So while we meander around the migration, let's go see how Byron's bird list is coming on.
Oh, now we are still in search of anything, really. I thought I spotted something in the distance. I think it's wonderful grass shrubs. Now, one of the other guides said he saw tracks of a leopard heading in this area, so I'm just trying to scan very, very carefully and listen out, and maybe we bump into a leopard walking through the bush somewhere. That would be great, but no luck just yet. Just trying to see if I can see where those tracks are that he saw, but I don't see anything just yet. It's starting to warm up a bit, at least too, which is nice. So, but it's still very cool, so you will still get movement from these predators. I was hoping that Janet would be there. Nothing. these big cats like the lions and the leopards, with them lying down in this grass, they're so well camouflaged, it's very difficult to see them. You know what I think we should do, Seb? I think we should have a coffee break quickly while I answer Ali's question. Ali was asking, are the pangolins out and about in Djuma? Sure, Ali. I don't know when last a pangolin was seen. Oh, better not mess, otherwise Tristan's going to shout at me again. There we go. So, Seb, would you like coffee? You alright? So, just our little coffee break. Who knows? Maybe a leopard just pops out while we chatting and having a break. And as I said, I like doing this. Maybe all of you back home can join with a cup of coffee or whatever it is you might be drinking now this time of the day. And get our guests to jump out, stretch their legs, walk around a little bit. And it's also nice. I used to often then stop, and myself and my friend Judas, who I worked with for many years, we would walk with the guests and do little tracks and signs just in the immediate area. It's always very interesting, nice to see. And we used to get these chocolate chip cookies baked at the lodge. And so there were those and rusks, which is kind of like a baked biscotti, similar to a biscotti, which you can dunk in your coffee. But the chocolate chip cookies were the best. I'm a sucker for chocolate chip cookies, and we'd sit there, we'll stand out and have chocolate chip cookies at our morning coffee. It was always wonderful. Actually, when James Henry trained us, we would do our morning drives. We had to always have coffee on the vehicle. James would be very upset if we didn't have it, and we would get chocolate chip cookies from the kitchen. We would kind of, and I'm giving you trade secrets here. They would kind of frown upon us when we took them, and we would have to sneak into the kitchen and steal some cookies, and our one friend would steal our entire bag that we would share on during the drive. Come on, Seb, where's this leopard? Well, let us carry on searching around here, and while we do that, let's head back to Tayla McCurdy. We keep teasing her about sometimes the way she speaks. Anyway, let's go to Tayla and see what she's up to and where she's bumbling about at the moment.
Do you see how mean they are to me here? It's terrible. I don't know why. Every time Byron says my name, he has to say Tayla. So now it's become a game. Except I do it to people that I don't know. So I did it to poor Shanae the other day, who works at Nkora, and I was like, Shanae! And she just looked at me and her guests were like, what on earth just happened? And I forgot that I can only do that at camp. So yeah, I'm constantly being teased, and it's terrible. It hurts my feelings. No, I'm joking. It does not hurt my feelings, not even one little bit. But yes, but Byron, because he's from the south of Joburg. He's a butt. It's what we call the strong men in South Africa that live in Joburg. Butts. So yeah, so we tease him Mr. Muscles, of course. So yeah, there's always lots of banter around camp, and obviously the reason why I'm talking about this is because we haven't got an animal to show you. There's some leopard tracks here on Central, but they're old. They're from the last couple of days. I can barely make out most of them. It looks like a male that has walked here, and that could be, honestly, could be anybody. So I think we're going to make our way towards Wildebeest Dam, perhaps have a little squiz around there, see if there's anything interesting, and then I don't know where to go next. Hang on, I've just seen a birdie. Birdie, what were you and where did you land? It's well, not on, it's in this very big tamboti tree. Let me see if I can find it again. Oh, it's an owl. Yee! It's so hard to see, Senzo. Can you see it up there? It's so difficult. But in between the gap, don't you fly? It looks like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a barred owlet. Senzo, I'm trying to find it on the screen for you. Can you go in just a little bit? And I think it's more on the right. Can you? Is it behind? You think he's there somewhere? Is that him? No. We're just trying to find it. It looks like a little barred owlet, but it's so high up. It's such an awkward angle. Are we not too high? Let me. Or do you think he's behind in a gap? Because he's not there. He's not on those branches. Where are you? I'm just trying to spot it. It's so difficult. The sun, oh. So you see, the problem is we're also staring straight into the sun. So as you can imagine, this creates a bit of glare. But it's beautiful. It's just sitting at us. Let me go back a little bit for you. Maybe, oh no, it's gone. Gone. Okay, never mind. We'll forget barred owlet. There was one. You'll just have to take my word for it. That was the little birdie that flew around there. Now, there was a question from Charlie, and it was, how long am I going to be in the Mara for? I should be there to get there first. Well, that was sad. Silly little birdie sitting in an awkward spot where we couldn't really see. There's also loads of baboon tracks from yesterday and vervet monkey tracks. Plenty of animal tracks, just very little animals out at the moment. But let's go towards Wildebeest. It's always a good road to go up sometimes as well. Oh. Apparently I froze. I apologize while I was answering Charlie's question, so I shall re-answer it. So Charlie wanted to know how long I'm going to be in the Mara for. It's hard to say, but it'll be around November. I'll make my return towards the end of November. So I won't be gone for too long. And yeah, so it should be around somewhere around there, but we will see. Let's see here again, hyena tracks. Sneaky. Running around. They're not making so much noise at the moment. They've been fairly quiet, the hyenas. Unusual, but it seems as though obviously Brent has issued Byron with a bird challenge, so let's go across to Byron before it flies away.
Oh, there they go. There they go. They've just flown away. Seb, they're actually just to the back there. I don't know if you might still be able to see them. You might see them fluttering about, little white-crested helmet shrikes. And there they go. I can just see them. Oh, where did they go now? Typical. Okay, let's see. Did you see another one? Oh, there we go. Well, grey hornbill, there we go. All spotted. Oh, those white-crested helmet shrikes are just flying away from us. Now, you see, this can get quite frustrating. We'll see all the birds, but because we don't get them on camera, they don't count. So, that is difficult. Now, did Tayla see the owl, or did you see the owl, or did Tayla see the owl? So Tayla says she saw an owl. Oh, there's a battalier flying above us, Seb. Oh no, it's going to fly straight to... No, there it goes. Beautiful male battalier. There it goes. Oh, that's a bit tricky. Does it count though? Does it count, I wonder? Okay, so it counts. A male battalier. Does a lot more black under the wing, and that's how you tell male and female. The female's got a lot of white, the males have got the black. So male battalier, as I was saying. So Tayla says she saw an owl, but no one else did. Tayla, I'm sorry, I don't think it counts. And I'm only saying this because I know Tayla would say exactly the same thing to me. She would say, Byron, it doesn't count. And she says we were nasty to her for teasing her about the way she speaks. Tayla, I've been teased for years by James Henry about the way I speak. I'm still scarred from it, actually. I wonder how James is doing. He doesn't message me, doesn't call me. Just, you know, I think he's so happy to be away from me. I think he's on leave at the moment. Maybe that's why. Enjoying the beach, perhaps. Working on his tan. Now, Seb, where is this leopard? I have no idea. No. I'm going to check around this dam quickly, see if there's any sign of a leopard around here. But Brent has some of those magnificent beasts, those large elephant in the Mara.
Well, as that happened, a vulture flew in. But we decided to show you something we don't actually see very often, and that is an elephant amongst the wildebeest. Now, it is a young bull. Generally, the breeding herds and that will try avoid the wildebeest and the chaos that goes around with them. But I suppose as a young bull, not too much trouble. He's got a nice set of ivory on him. And you can see he's quite far away. And it is starting to heat up quickly today. Now, I realized I made some very, very silly mistakes, and I forgot to mention monkeys, baboons. So olive baboon, vervet monkey, and Sykes monkey I've seen. Now, apparently there are red-tailed monkeys in certain forests in the Mara. I did not know that, and I have not seen them. I have seen them elsewhere in Africa, but I have not seen them in the Mara yet, so that's one to look forward to. And I forgot waterbuck, buffalo, scrub hare, spring hare. There we go. And there's also 2 species of ground squirrel that I have not seen yet either. So I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes peeled for the unstriped ground squirrel and the striped ground squirrel. I wonder where they've been hiding in the long grass. Jake is wondering how many wildebeest are around us at the moment. It's difficult to say, but I would say maybe 50 to 100,000. And it varies. There's thicker areas of wildebeest and less wildebeest. But at the moment, we're moving our way back towards the Musiara Marsh, where we started our adventure this morning. And thanks to Shamstang, who sent me a bit more information on those 6 boys. They are from the Olora Motagi Conservancy, which is that way, in those hills there. That drainage line, you can see at the depths there. That's the Olare River, if I remember correctly. But so they've come from there, and they've obviously been pushed out of their natal area, and they've moved down towards the marsh. And they are called the Bila Shaka nomads. Now, actually, while I'm here, the Bila Shaka is a laga, or a little river system, and that is it, the start of it in those trees there. So obviously they've spent quite a bit of time around there. As I said, we haven't been this side for quite a while. So the Bila Shaka nomads are who they are. So I'm not sure who the female is. So the last time I was in the Musiara Marsh area, we saw, what was her name? Yaya. An older female who split from the marsh pied and tends to hang around this area of the ridge and then down to the marsh. And she had 2 young females, her daughters. Now, I'm not saying for 100%, but I'm guessing that that female we saw this morning is possibly one of Yaya's daughters, but I'm not 100% sure. So that's what I think is going on. But as we often know with wildlife, as soon as you think you got it all sorted, you get completely twisted around, turned around, and dumped on your head. Oh, so gorgeous this morning. Now, I've been keeping a lookout for Temminck's courses, and they like the short grass, but no luck. Mind Warp is wondering what kind of snake species do we get in the Masai Mara? Oh, quite a few. I actually haven't seen too many snakes. I think the coolest snake I've seen since I've been here is the black-necked spitting cobra. Now, of course, like a lot of cobras, they've got a lot of different color variations, and the variation we get around our camp is midnight black. I mean, it is dark, dark, dark. And they can get quite big. I mean, 2 meters and very thick. What else have I seen? I've seen a python. I've seen... I saw a little red-lipped herald in camp. Also saw a little house snake. I'm not sure which one. In the grass here, I've seen sand snakes. I'm sure there's puff adders and night adders as well. But I haven't seen too many snakes as of yet. Well, I've never been on this road. Let's go on this road. Looks like a fun road. Now, the reason I took this road is it's heading towards shade. And even though the wildebeest are all around, there could very easily be a predator lying up in the shade of what looks to be a shepherd's tree. Oh, there we go. Look at them go. Run, boy. Run, mongoose, run. Banded mongoose. Now, I have seen... that's why they were running. I heard it. A basileia up high. I can't see it. I think it's above our roof. But even though a basileia is unlikely to pounce on a banded mongoose, any sort of shadow above them will give them a fright and send them scuttling. There we go. There's a few more amongst the wildies. Now, of course, the wildies provide lots of food for the mongoose because of all the droppings they drop and all the fly larvae and whatnot that will eat them. Okay, I'm going to try and get towards the marsh and see if we can get one last look at the Bilashaka nomads before the end of safari. While we do that, let's go back to Byron, who's hopefully adding to his bird list.
Which one?
On this dead branch, emerald spotted wood dove, yeah. Look, everybody, an emerald spotted wood dove. No, come back a bit, Seb. Oh no, don't worry. Oh dear.
Sorry, my bad.
Oh, Sebastian. We'll try more. It was an emerald spotted wood dove, but luckily there are quite a few of them around, so we'll try find another one. I suppose we've got to start with all the common birds too. I mean, all the hornbills and the starlings. We need to get some of that. What about that little guy sitting on the edge of that branch over there? Can you see him, Seb? Is that not a bird? It's a plane. It's a jumping squirrel. He just jumped off the tree. He's gone. Oh, Seb. What have we got flying? What have we got flying up there? Seb, we've got a vulture over there, a white-backed vulture. I don't know if you'd be able to get it up there.
There's more for me than you.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Oh, it's tough, Seb. It's a bit far now, yeah. There was a white-backed vulture flying about. Don't worry, Seb. We'll see if we can get another. See, this challenge is not just for me, as Seb was saying. It looks like it's more for him. Trying to get the birds, very difficult. Was it Campy and Dewey who asked, what is the rarest bird? Everyone saying poor Seb. No, not poor Seb. Seb, no sympathy here, bud. Captain G, you asked what is the rarest bird here in Djuma. That's hard to say, and I'll tell you why. Because every now and then you get birds that come through. They might be flown off course. The bird life, I suppose, if you think of a bird that we see fairly regularly here, which is rare and endangered, the first one that would come to mind would be the ground hornbill. There are not many ground hornbills left around. The ground hornbill and probably the secretary bird, no, the saddle-billed stork is another one. Saddle-billed stork. Also not many of them around, but in terms of rarities that might come into the area, it could be anything. I mean, in the Sabi Sands, I've seen Narina trogon, I've seen emerald cuckoo. Well, those types of birds you don't see often around here, so those would be more rare. What else? Every now and then you get some of these crakes that come through that you don't see very often. What else have we seen? I think some of the harriers. You don't get many harriers around. See, those, they're not necessarily rare. You have to go into specific areas to find them, but you could get them flying off course and arriving in this area. So that's a rarity that just occurs from time to time. But I think the one that is rare and endangered would be the ground hornbill or the saddle-billed stork. Okay, well, I've had no luck with the leopards, but Tayla is now sitting with an animal which sometimes sounds a little bit like her when she laughs.
Not me. I laugh very loudly and I make some strange noises sometimes. But we found Gwendolyn and her two little cubs just suckling about. No sign of Antima, but she could be on the other side with Ribbon. I haven't actually gone round at all to have a look. We just arrived here and it was very sweet, and this is my first time to see the new little cubs. So how cool is that? But they're not as playful as what I would have liked them to be, but that's okay. You can see that they're sitting in the sun and they're also suckling away. They must be very hungry little hyena cubs, and at this age it doesn't matter what animal you are, but it is important that you get food regularly so that you can develop properly and as quick as possible. You don't want to stay too little out in the big bad African bush for too long. You want to grow up so that you can face all the dangerous things that are out here. But they are not just shy of that, and they've started to get their shaggy coats. At this age they just look strange, but they are very sweet though. Now, Shamson, you're wondering if the holes in the dens, in the hyena dens, of course, are very deep. I've actually never been inside one, and the odd sort of termite mound I have gone to inspect is either caved in, which is maybe one of the reasons why they didn't use it anymore, but I can only imagine that they must be particularly deep, because if you remember that one on Philemon's cut line, just off Philemon's cut line, we could actually see quite a fair way into the hole, and we still wouldn't see those little ones. I have actually gone to have a look around there, but again, it looks like it had caved in slightly, but perhaps when it was active, it will go right in. Sometimes these sort of network systems, these tunnels, go right through and out the other side. So yes, and the adults will go in every now and then too. It depends. Again, we see them spending more time on the outside, but sometimes they sit with their bodies sort of half in the hole, so they have to be big enough. And remember, things like warthogs also utilize burrows like this, and a warthog is not a small animal, especially when there's 8 of you living in one hole. So I'm sure that between the hyenas and the warthogs, they do excavate the inside out so that they can still move around comfortably. Right, we're going to go across to Byron though, but we'll see you back here shortly.
Now, just quickly, there is a scimitar, beautiful common scimitar. Don't often get to see them, so it's nice to show you one of those. The birds, we found a little bird party, so that's why it's nice to see them. Look at that beautiful curved beak, the long curved beak. Beautiful. Now, the scimitar was over there, and then I did see some white-crested helmet shrikes. I think they've moved. You know, it said they to the back, the right, just at the bottom of that tree. Straight. There, down a bit. There, just at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, there, yeah.
There we go. There's the white-crested helmet shrike. All right, so just 2 quick birds. Let's head across to Brent, who's got a baby that he would like to show you.
This is the first baby Grant's gazelle I've seen. Look how tiny it is. It is so new. Oh, goodness, it's all legs and gangly. Oh, it's full of the joy of life this morning. Now, what's incredible about the gazelles is that Mom will often leave the babies, and when they lie down into the grass, they completely disappear. The camouflage, even though it doesn't look like it while they're up like that, is incredible. They tuck their head into the back of their legs, and they become a little patch of grass. And all the white and black and other dark colors on them become completely invisible. Absolutely special. It is indeed very cute. Oh, come on, give us another little run around. Here we go. Where's Mom? Come on. Where's Mom? No, not interested in Mom. Just yet. There we go, going back to Mum. Tiana says, "Oh, this made my day." It is indeed a wonderful sighting to see a newborn baby, a couple of days old at the most. And this is the first one I've seen. I wonder if we're going to start seeing a few more baby Grants at this time of the year. I'm actually not sure when their breeding season was. I thought they were similar to Tommy's, but I could be wrong. Okay, Mom, you keep that little one safe. We're going to keep heading towards the northeast. And it seems that's the marsh down there. And, well, from one cute baby to another one with Madam McCurdy.
We're still at a very peaceful setting at the hyena den on Djuma, and it's fairly quiet around here. What we will probably do just now is we'll probably do a quick lap around the den, see if anything else is happening on the other side. I do miss young and Tima, though I've started seeing subadult hyena tracks sort of going up and down the road, and Tristan said that he also saw them. I don't know if he actually saw Ntima running around, but I think she's getting to the point now where she's also going to leave the den and start spending some time with the adults. I haven't seen her in such a long time. I wouldn't even be able to tell you how big she is now. The last time I saw her was a few weeks ago. She's definitely much larger than these two. Now, Sabi, you're wondering, how do the animals change the pattern and the color of their fur, like the hyenas and other animals, of course, as they sort of grow up? I suppose that's just in their genetics, really. It's not uncommon to see when animals are first born, that'll be a completely different color to the adults, and that's normally for protection in terms of camouflage. So, for example, if we look at the herbivores, look at wildebeest, the youngsters are almost I don't even know what color to call it, but they're a lightish brown. They're not quite as dark as the adults, and that's because when they sit down on the ground, often in sandy patches, they then just look like the sand. The same thing goes, normally they are lighter and they start, like I said, they start to get darker as they get older. However, it seems to be the opposite way around with the hyena. They start off nice and dark, and then they start to develop the spots, and then all that lighter color fur, that tan colored fur comes through. And I don't know how they do it, but like I said, it'll just be genetics. It's just one of those things. They lose that fluffy coat. Youngster zebras do exactly the same thing. Look at lions, for example. They're covered with tiny little spots all over them to help them blend into the vegetation, and they start to lose that after a few years, or sometimes they keep those spots actually for their whole life. They're just very faint. So I think it depends on the sort of species. If we look at birds, some of the raptors taking many years to develop. They also don't really look like the adults too much. They're more tawny again. So maybe for birds, that'll be a good thing to not have the same color as the adult from the get-go, because you'll be able to hang around within territories a little bit longer, because adults won't view you as a threat when it comes to sort of mating. But of course, this is maybe just specifically to birds. And it will change. But I think these hyena cubs, I don't think they're going to get up to too much. I'm sure they were a bit playful a little bit earlier when Mom came back to the den, but now they've been suckling for a while. That belly is going to expand. It's going to be full of milk. Those eyes will grow heavy, especially in this warm morning sun. And they'll probably go back to sleep unless Gwen gets up and runs away. But she's constantly looking around, just making sure that no one is also sneaking up to her. Remember, this isn't the main matriarchal den. We don't know where it is. I have a suspicion that it could be on Little Gowrie somewhere, because we're constantly seeing hyenas going back that side, and we're often seeing a lot of male hyenas running back there and around. And then, of course, we see those massive female hyena tracks also going down that way too. So there might be somewhere that side, or they could just be on Djuma as well, just maybe further to the south. But we haven't come across that den. But as we start doing more bushwalks, we'll start exploring more on foot again, and we'll be able to find these old dens. Isn't that such a sweet little sight, though? They really are amazing, misunderstood creatures. And that's what I love about the show, is that obviously we try and get rid of the myths that have been created by movies, and then give animals bad names, for instance, just as the Lion King did with the hyenas. Although Gwen sort of resembles, please help me, what were the hyenas' names again? Can anyone remember? I can't remember the names. What is the goofy one? For the life of me, I can't remember. Not Missy. I just know who played the parts. I know that Whoopi Goldberg was the main hyena, and then I can't remember the other two. But the sort of very goofy one, whatever that one's name is, reminds me of Gwen, actually. So maybe they weren't sort of painting hyenas too far from the truth. Well, in the case of that goofy-looking hyena, shame. Poor Gwen, with her saggy lip and her one eye doesn't seem to be quite open all the time. She's a bit quite intimidating when you stare at her at night, and she's sort of, slobbering. She definitely looks... Oh, yes, she definitely looks like a feral thing. Ed was the goofy one, so thank you so much for whoever gave that answer through. Ed, fantastic. Kirsten in FC from Mara. Of course, Kirst would know. Although I think we all know those Lion King songs. But because they're not getting up to too much, let's use this opportunity. Let's do a quick little survey around the den. So we'll just reverse out of here. Actually, we'll do it opposite. We'll see if we can do it the other way around. If I can remember. Here's the pathway. Now I just need to go into low range. They've sat up a little bit, so let's go around. I promise you we'll come back. Here's my water bottle. We'll go through here because I'll be very, very excited if I can see. There she is. She's there. She's hiding. She's sneaky. She's just sitting there quietly with ribbon. I'll show you now. I'm just trying to position the car a bit easier for Senzo. It's not really easy, a great view, unfortunately. But we'll see if we can show you. They're just sitting on the other side of the den. You can look in there. I think there's 2 hyenas there. Yeah, there we go. There's Ribbon and Ntima with her eyes closed, suckling away. They can suckle for quite a long time. It's actually, it's interesting how hyena youngsters will actually drink milk for longer than lions and leopards, for example. So they're normally only getting weaned anywhere between, I suppose again it varies, between a year and 16 months, around there, which is quite cool. So that's what she's doing. And now the little ones have actually woken up too, and we've got a gap to see them. They're starting to climb about. There we go. Get off of my head, says Mom. That's so sweet. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps all the fat and protein that it is in Mom's milk is going to give them a sugar rush now, or the equivalent of a sugar rush. Now, Starlight, you were wondering, is there any animal, any mammal that can have more youngsters than they do mammary glands? I'm not sure. I don't think so. No, and not that I've ever seen. But again, I stand under correction. I don't really know the answer to that, and I don't want to busk. But I don't think that would be a very clever thing. Of course, we might find that if there aren't enough teats, that obviously one is not going to really maybe make it. It'll be the runt. I don't know what it's like with dogs. I mean, with wild dogs, though, you think about it. Wild dogs can have like. What we were talking about the record the other day, and we think we said something about it being 22 or 23 dog puppies being born, which is a huge amount of wild dog puppies. And I don't think wild dogs have got that many mammary glands. I actually don't know how many mammary glands a wild dog. Oh, there we go. Well, then, there we go. So I've answered my own question now, haven't I, by saying that. Thank you, Alice, for pointing that out. Here I am stating, yes, wild dogs have lots of puppies, and I don't think they have that many mammary glands. So there we go. Perhaps that's the exception to the rule, Starlight. I'm trying to think, actually, I don't know how many, like I said, how many mammary glands a wild dog has. What, maybe let's go guess. 12. I don't know. 8. 10. Someone can look it up in a book. Or I will try and look it up in a book and have a look now, but it will take me a while to scroll through the many pages. But we'll sit with these hyenas for a little bit longer and see what they get up to. It looks like it might get quite exciting. So off we go to Byron, who's doing some birding.
Oh, well, that's so much fun, Tayla, that you're sitting at that hyena den. That's awesome. I will definitely try to go there in the next few days so I can see those young hyena. We are trying to do some birding. We keep getting glimpses of different birds, and it's actually fun for us. But the problem is getting it on camera so that all of you can see it. What I wanted to do is come to the dam and just have a look around here and see if there aren't any birds at the water's edge. There should be. Or if something's decided to come and drink. Oh, well, there's right at the top of that tree there's, so we might be able to see it in the middle tree right at the top. Grey go-away bird. So that's another one to add to the list. Like I said, we better start doing the common ones too if we want to get our numbers up. Grey go-away bird. Still a lot of wind. we were saying this time of year is quite windy, and towards the end of August and going to September, quite windy. Just kidding. Stalled the vehicle. Oh dear, that's a fine, I'm sure. Now let's see if there's anything around the water's edge here. See if I see some birds all fluttering about at the bottom there. It looks like some starlings. Let's see. Some glossy starlings at the water's edge. Over there they are. You can see the orange eye. You can hear them too. So those are the glossy starlings. What else have we got that we haven't seen yet? That's also one of the glossy starlings, yeah. Another go-away bird. And then down here, blacksmith lapwing. At the bottom. There we go. Blacksmith lapwing. What else can we find here? Is there a dove? Oh, there, Cape Turtle Dove. Where did it go? A little bit left, I think, Seb. There we go. Cape Turtle Dove. So this is quite a tricky challenge, getting all the birds on camera. What are those? Those are the starlings, yeah. Alright, well, I might stick around here for a few more minutes. Let's head back all the way to Brent in the Mara and see how his morning is going.
Well, it's going very well. Oh, hang on, I'm in a bit of a hole here. Now, I was just having a look. So sometimes when human beings build bridges, certain animals take advantage, and there we go. This is the governor's hyena clan. They love these pipes around the airstrip that help with the drainage so people can actually land. Here we go. Hello, cuties. Looking very content. Catching some morning rays. Now, we're going to start moving all the way back towards Agama and pick up the beach crew on our way. Now, makeup girl, oh, you're so fluffy. You are so cute. Makeup girl, sorry, I got so distracted by how fluffy this hyena cub is wondering what species of hyena are the Mara hyenas. Well, these little fluff balls are the same species as the one that we get in southern Africa, and the most widely spread hyena species in Africa. They are called spotted hyena. Crocutta is their scientific name. Now, you do get another species of hyena in the Mara, and it's called a striped hyena. But that's further to the east, generally around the eastern boundary of the Mara, in the slightly more arid areas. We're in the very wet area of the Mara here. And the striped hyena occur from the Maasai steppe in Tanzania all the way up through the Middle East and into India. And I've seen striped hyena before, and I'm very excited to possibly see them again. Now, of course, Madam McCurdy is on her way up to the Mara shortly, so I'm sure she's literally vibrating with excitement like only Tayla can. But I've got 2 words of advice before she arrives. Tayla, don't forget your binoculars and don't get stuck. But let's go back to Tayla and her hyenas.
Still a little bit young to start moving away from the den, but hopefully in the next few weeks we'll start to see them get a bit more adventurous. But as I talk, that little one will occasionally look towards us and sort of stare, wondering what on earth we are. Sort of adventure they've got ahead, of meeting the car cars, meeting all the sights and smells that they're going to get, and then they're going to learn to love tyres, I suppose, like young Djuma seems to enjoy, and like every other hyena in the whole wide world seems to enjoy too. Isn't that beautiful? And that's a very cozy spot there. Obviously not for Mom, I don't think, though. I think it must be a little bit annoying. Little one just flops in between the neck crease, keeping nice and warm, not only getting the heat from Mom, but also getting the heat from the sun. Oh, I just want to give you some loves. That's all. That's all I want to do. Hello, Mom. It's really nice to watch hyenas being affectionate, although I'm sure they're just gnawing away, chewing a bit and annoying Mom most of the time, but lions and leopards do exactly that. But that is so sweet. I just want your attention. I just want to be on top of you all the time. And now, because they're such social animals too, of course, that sort of touch, well, especially touching one another, is very important for strengthening the bond between the various animals out here. We see it with birds, we see it with impala, kudu, cheetah, hyena, leopards, lions, you name it. You see the babblers have caught those youngsters' attention. I'm surprised. It's actually quite nice to see, because I know when I watched when Tara was sort of looking, or managed to find these little ones, every sort of sight and sound gave them a fright, and they would dart off down into the dark tunnel into the termite mound. Isn't that cool? And other little one going in for a suckle, yet not quite finished with breakfast. And I'm sure that Gwen is going to get a little bit hot in that spot, so she might move down eventually. Once those little ones have had enough to eat, she might send them back into the burrow, and then she'll also just rest up in the shade. But it's been a very exciting morning, don't you think? We've seen so many different things today. We've been very, very lucky. From Byron Butch the birder, showing us all our feathered friends, and Brent showing us, well, a variety of different species today, and me just talking a whole lot of nonsense, but it has been amazing, and I'm just glad that it is warm today. That is definitely the absolute best. But should we take a look at those little hyenas one last time before drive finishes? But remember, we're not going anywhere. We'll be around this afternoon for the sunset safari, so please join us then. From all of us at Wild Earth, we hope you have a wonderful day or night, and we'll see you all soon.